Welcome to the Parsha Perspective. Each week, we will delve deep in a weekly Torah portion to find a practical and insightful way to enhance your daily life. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Rabbi Shalom Yemini, and each week we will look into the weekly Torah portion to find practical and insightful ways to enhance your daily life. This week's Parsha Perspective is in loving memory of Shlomo ben Edward and Edward ben Efraim, and in honor of the Refuah Shlema of Shaul ben Berta, Sasson ben Batia, and Yirachmiel ben Tova Basha. May they have a complete and speedy recovery. This Parsha Perspective is also in merit of the Lubavitcher Rebbe's father, Reb Levi Yitzchak Schneerson. He was an immense Torah scholar and Kabbalist who gave his life for preserving Judaism in the Soviet Union. In his honor, may we merit the coming of Mashiach and the ultimate redemption. This week's Torah portion is Parshas Eikev. Our Parsha continues with Moshe's final address to the Jewish people. He tells them that if they follow the Torah's path and keep the Mitzvahs, they will be blessed above all peoples. He reminds them that they did not inherit the land due to their own righteousness, but instead because of the promise that God made to our forefathers, Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. Moshe then recounts how he broke the luchos on his way down from Mount Sinai when he saw them sinning with the golden calf. He also tells them the second paragraph of the Shema that we say every single day, where we are told the physical rewards we will receive for observing the Torah or the consequences if we don't, heaven forbid. However, a question comes to mind. After telling the Jewish nation how important it is to keep God's commandments, Moshe repeats it again. He says, Kol ha-mitzvah asher anichi mitzavacha hayom tishmerun lases leman tichyu u'revisa muvasam v'yirashtem es ha'aretz asher nishba Hashem lavasechem. You shall observe all the commandment that God has instructed you today, so you will live, thrive, and inherit the land that God has promised to your forefathers. But why does Moshe use a singular term mitzvah, which means a single commandment, rather than mitzvahs, which implies many commandments? Furthermore, if Moshe was actually saying to the Jewish nation, all the mitzvah, the singular commandment that God has told you today, what law or mitzvah is Moshe actually referring to? The Sifrono Ravadia Sifrono, an Italian commentary and famous doctor from the early 1500s, answers these questions by looking at the previous psukim, the previous verses. At the end of chapter 7, Moshe says that if the Jewish people will follow the Torah, God will give them the land of Israel without injury or even a war, even a fight. And therefore Moshe repeats the mitzvah to burn the idols of the nations who lived in Israel at that time. As the pasuk writes at the end of Perek, chapter 7, you shall burn the images of their gods and do not desire their silver and their gold that is on them, for it is an abomination to God. However, Rashi, Rabbeinu Shlomo Yitzchaki, the foremost commentary on the Torah, gives a deeper and more profound explanation. He writes that Moshe was not referencing or hinting at a specific mitzvah, but rather to each mitzvah as a whole. Moshe was explaining to the Jewish nation that they must complete each mitzvah in its entirety to receive its reward. And when doing a mitzvah, we must carry it out and see it through till it's accomplished. And although this may seem difficult, the reward for persisting to complete a mitzvah is not only living, but thriving in God's land. The Gemara in Tainus relates a story about one of the bigger sages of the Mishnah, Rav Chanina ben Dosa. He was a Torah scholar who was awfully poor, but extremely pious and holy. And the greatest rabbis of his era would come to him for blessings because of his ability to pray and petition before God. The story is that once a few chickens wandered into the yard of Rav Chanina ben Dosa. He quickly gathered them and went to go look for the owner to do this special mitzvah of returning a lost object, Hashavas Aveda. But after searching for a while with no luck, he brought the chickens home. He told his wife what happened and gave her specific instructions not to have any benefit from them, but to take care of them. As time passed and the chickens grew older, they began to lay their own eggs, creating noise and chaos in their home. So Rav Chanina ben Dosa took them to the market and sold them, and bought goats instead. A while later, he overheard someone talking about their missing chickens in the marketplace. Rav Chanina ben Dosa approached this man and asked him if he had any signs to prove his ownership. The man responded that he used to tie a red string around the chicken's leg to show that they were his. Rav Chanina ben Dosa realized that this man was indeed the rightful owner and brought him to his backyard. He showed him the large herd of goats and said, now you are the owner of all these goats. The man was astonished and asked Rav Chanina ben Dosa how this happened from just a few chickens. Rav Chanina ben Dosa replied that this was through his careful and rigorous observance of the mitzvah of Hashavas Aveda, returning a lost object. The lesson we learn from here is ever more prevalent as we approach the month of Elul, a month of self-introspection and reflection on our observances of the Torah and our connection to God. In our daily life, it is imperative we understand that to change your life or to become successful is all about follow-through. Many people have great business ideas and concepts, but never implement them to their full potential. Many people want to improve and transform themselves for the better, but do not follow through with their plans. We mostly have access to the same knowledge and information. The difference is who has the determination and resolve to see it through. The lesson Moshe is conveying to the Jewish nation is to have the courage and tenacity to follow through with their dreams and aspirations. There is an amazing quote that I once read. There is a 6-word formula for success. Think things through and then follow through. Have a great weekend and good Shabbos. Thank you for tuning in to the Parsha Perspective. Check out our website, theparshaperspective.com. Send thoughts and comments to theparshaperspective@gmail.com. Till next time, thanks for listening.